You're listening to the Seven Rivers Student Ministry podcast. We believe that all students are lovable through a relationship with Jesus. If you'd like to know more about our ministry, you can visit us at www.sevenrivers.org/students. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Culture Cast.
Whoa!
Bow, bow, bow. That was good, right? Affirm me, please.
That was amazing.
I'm scared.
That was amazing, Mikey.
Hey, I'm Mikey Puckett,
I'm Jason Uwayhead.
and this is the Culture Cast, which is essentially a podcast engaging culture with the gospel. So we're excited about this. And I think it's one of the coolest things we get to do as a ministry is engage culture with the gospel. So, but let's just get out of the way. I am really nervous. Are you nervous, Jason?
I'm actually nervous. Believe it or not,
I can't tell.
You'll hear a lot of ums. Like you'll be like I'm sure you'll hear like 50 ums.
Yeah, that's
throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, every time I hear my voice when we go and play it back, I'm like, gosh, I can't stand my voice. It's so obnoxious.
Yeah.
So,
and we're both sweating like a lot.
Yes.
Just drenched.
I brought a change of shirts for each take. So, anyways, we were really excited about this podcast, and I think it's really cool to be able to take cultural things like music and art and theater and film and be able to talk about it and say, hey, where do we see Jesus in this? And where do we see evil? Where do we see redemption? Where do we see the gospel? So I'm excited to get to dive into some of this stuff. And if you're listening to this, I think it's going to be a way for you to put on like your gospel goggles or gospel lens and be able to see the world when you're listening to radio. But
yeah, absolutely.
I want Jason to share a little bit of his vision behind wanting to do this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So usually when we're on like mission trips or just summer camp, we're in the car with students, and they often want to play their music. They often want to like, hey, can I get the aux cord? Can I play what I'm listening to? And a lot of times we have conversations about these songs. We talk about, hey, what are some good elements? What are do you really want to embrace that, or do you want to reject that? And so really we just want to have a conversation on this podcast about these songs, because there are some good elements. Take the song and put it in light of the gospel. What can we affirm? What can we reject? Where is Jesus in all of this? And we know through Scripture that we're all made in God's image, and this can translate into our art and these celebrities' art. And like Mikey said, this could be in films, this can be in writing, this can be in music. But there is goodness in them, and there is like sin taints them too. So we're just going to be like, hey, what can we affirm? What does the gospel say about this? What can we reject? What does the gospel say about this?
Yeah, Genesis 1:27, we're all made in God's image. So that's including the people who are making music out there and film out there. Not even just Christian artists, but actually secular artists also bear God's image, and they can't help it. And so that's what we want to point out is like, hey, this is every human being can't help in what they do and work and how they live their lives at some point in some way are reflecting the image of God to the world. And I think that's really cool to see. And so if you're a student listening to this, this is going to be really helpful for you engaging culture, engaging the music your friends listen to, the music that you hear on the radio, the films that you see on Netflix, the TV shows. This is going to help you engage that. If you're a parent or if you're an adult and one day going to have kids, or if you have students, if you're a youth worker, I think this is going to be great too for you to be able to learn how to use certain language to be able to talk about cultural events, cultural moments, and be able to engage culture with the gospel. Because I think in some ways, when parents hear their kids, teenagers start listening to like secular music, I think there is like a panic button hit. Like, oh my goodness, they're listening to these horrible songs that don't talk about Jesus, and there is like a panic, and I understand that panic. Like that's there, that's real. But I think you don't have to be so afraid as a parent, because I think anything that you hear and your kids are listening to, I think you can always show them where Jesus is in it, or where Jesus needs to be in it, as ways of connecting your students to the gospel as you're raising them up in Christ. So
absolutely.
I'm really excited, because I think that is one of the best things that is going to come away from this, is this ability to listen and see all things and know Jesus through it. So pretty cool. You ready, Jason?
I'm ready.
Let's send it. Okay, so we're talking about one of the greatest artists of all time.
The very best.
In the
Some might
history
argue.
Of the world. The one and only.
Drum roll.
Taylor Swift. Man, that was good.
Yeah.
We didn't even practice that, and we
have
nailed
to
it.
use this take no matter what we do, because
I know.
I don't think we can do that again.
I don't think so either. We are in sync. You see what I did there? Okay.
Yeah.
No, Taylor Swift is a incredible artist. She's won Grammys, right?
Oh yeah, she's won I think multiple.
So that's important. I mean, like, that means you're doing it right to a degree in the music industry. Well, and so essentially what I want to do at the beginning is, like, let's just talk about Taylor Swift. Let's talk about her story, and then we'll jump into the song that we're going to talk about, which is coming from her new album, Folklore, right?
Yep.
Cardigan. So that's her most popular song right now on Spotify. Cardigan. So if you haven't listened to it, maybe pause this, listen to it, and then we're going to talk about it, and we're going to break it down a little bit. But yeah, let's talk about Taylor Swift. Jason, what's kind of her background? What's her story? Jason, by the way, is a huge Taylor Swift fan.
Oh, she is the best.
That's his celebrity crush growing up.
Like, Love Story 500 times on repeat, please.
Yeah, exactly. And Jason may have sung Taylor Swift to Alexis to woo her to marry.
That may or may not have happened.
Yeah, so don't hold me to that, but but yeah, since Jason is the Taylor Swift expert, we're gonna punt it to Jason on a little bit of backstory on her.
So Taylor, she is amazing. Everyone has an opinion on Taylor. Even if you hate her, you're like, everyone knows Taylor Swift.
She's polarizing.
Yeah. So either like, I don't listen to Taylor Swift. I don't really like her. Or you're like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. Or, but she started off as a country singer at, like, she was famous at 16 pretty much. She had early hits like Love Story or You Belong With Me, appealed to both the country fans and pop fans because of the way she just produced her music. She won her first Grammy for Fearless in 2008. Swift continued to be at the top of her charts in 2014. So she kept growing as her albums came out, like Shake It Off and Blank Space. You guys might remember these songs. She won Grammy of the Year. She was actually the first woman to win it twice, to win Grammy of the Year twice. And now Lover in 2019 and in 2020 Folklore. So she was born in Pennsylvania in 1989. Hashtag her album, 1989. Her grandmother was a professional singer. And here's a fun fact. Her whole family moved to Nashville just for her career. They went from Pennsylvania to Nashville just so Taylor can be famous. And it turned out well for them. She's one of the most known people in the world.
Yeah, I think when when I think of Taylor Swift, I go back to my high school years, and when Love Story was out, and everyone was like singing Romeo Save Me, I don't want to feel alone. We were all like, all the girls were loving that, and all the guys were just rolling their eyes because we're like, what a just unhealthy view of relationships and men and women and every boyfriend. Like I had a girlfriend at the time, and we were all like kind of extremely nervous because it's like this vision that she is casting of a boyfriend or a boy in your life is impossible to meet as a boy. So she definitely, I had a love-hate relationship with her because of the expectations she had for boys. But seriously, like think about being 16 years old and immediately being thrown on stage and performing and, living on the road, and your life is essentially about music and about performing, and you're not sure how often does she probably feel that do people actually love her for her, or do they love her for what she offers them via music, via singing, via, clout, socially. And just to be at 16 and for that to be your world, I can't imagine the pressure that she had to feel and live under. So I as you were even talking, I was thinking about this song too, and Cardigan, and I'm like going, yeah, this definitely is a piece of her story, is feeling kind of used up, maybe, feeling like she is just this person, like a worn out cardigan. She is this, when she was 16, she was brand new. Everyone loved her, maybe. And then she got under the spotlight more in media attention, and how that works. They are trying to find the kind of like, the dirty laundry, the secrets that you have, and expose it. And then all of a sudden, she's worn out, over the years, and maybe she just feels, even with her fans, with her friends, family, people, that she's just in her relationships, that she's just been this cardigan, this object that's been used to comfort people, to cover up people in their lives and their stories. And essentially now, back and forth, just being, thrown under the bed, but then picked back up as the favorite, and the heartbreak of not only like with boys, we can, but even in our own story, the heartbreak of being kind of used in a way, just being a person that people consume. And that, I think that's really sad.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think, Jason.
To have the spotlight be on you since you were 16 years old is such a hard thing to have. Yeah. I can't imagine like the spotlight being on me at 16 and all the things I did wrong,
Right.
and then like that being publicized to the whole
Right.
world, like that, I would want to like hide in a shell.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think when we listen to the song Cardigan, and we're about to probably go through it and break it down. Well, disclaimer: we're not saying go listen to all these songs all the time, make them your favorite, But what we are saying is that these songs, are out there. They're going to be heard by your students. You, as a kid, are going to listen to them, and you're at somehow, some way, you're going to engage this because it's one of the top hits right now in this present moment, cultural moment. You're going to hear your friends talking about it. You're going to hear your teenagers talking about it. This is coming into your life, whether you want it or not, to be in your life. And that's why we're talking about it. We're not saying, oh, create a playlist with all these songs we talk and then put them on loop with your kids.
No,
we're actually saying when these come up and these conversations come up, these are the points you can make and talk about with your kid.
Oh, absolutely.
And so
let's just have a conversation is the goal. Let's talk about what we're listening to.
Yeah. And Taylor Swift, I mean, she's a human being. So like sometimes we can put our celebrities on these pedestals and turn them into these role models, like these gods that we should follow. And really, she has the same skin as us, and she's more talented than me and gifted, and has more clout. But that doesn't mean though that she's not human, and it doesn't struggle like I struggle, and things like that. So let's just start looking at the song, and let's start looking at the ways that we can affirm and challenge. So this is one of the things we like to do, is we like to look and read through the lyrics, and find places where we go, this is what we affirm in this song. This is true about our culture, true about our lives, true about the gospel. And then we turn into, okay, what do we challenge? What do we say? This is off. This isn't right. This isn't how it should be. And so, yeah, let's, or this is a lie. This isn't, you know what I mean? This isn't truth in the song. So that's kind of where we get into the challenge. But let's start with the affirming side of things. So we're looking at the lyrics right now. Essentially, Jason, you tell us, what is Cardigan about?
That's a great question. So don't quote me on this, even though this is on the internet. But I think this whole song is about young love. I have a quote here from Taylor that she said, "This song is about long lost love and looking back on it and how special it made you feel." She says, "All the good things it made you feel, all the pain that it made you feel." When I then she goes on to say her chorus, "When I felt like an old cardigan under someone's bed, you put me on and said I was your favorite." She's like alluding to something like she wants a supportive relationship. She like looked at her long lost love, and she's like, "I want a supportive relationship." This is all speculation from our side. There can be a lot of times artists put out songs. They're like, you can find your own meaning in them.
Right.
But if we're trying to look at it through Taylor's perspective and the perspective of the gospel, we can say, yeah, like there is like a sense of young love in here. There's a sense of wanting more, and there's a sense of like, oh, I kind of missed that.
Well, Jason, was Alexis your first crush?
She was not my first crush. I wish she was.
Yeah. Are you gonna tell us more about this?
Well, you be vulnerable first and say your first crush.
Well done, well played, sir. Yeah, when I honestly, when you do have like a girlfriend in high school or middle school, and it's your first, boyfriend or girlfriend situation, it is. I mean, it's impactful. It's so new. It's so kind of exciting. It seems like, young love is exciting. I remember, I liked this girl, Becky, and I liked her since I was in 7th grade, and then I just like crushed on her all the way up until like junior year, senior year, and I was like, I'm gonna ask her out. Finally asked her out because I was really nervous, like to build up the courage to be able to ask a girl out. I didn't have it. And took me, like 4 years too. And then I asked her out, and we only dated for like 3 months. And it crushed me.
Longer than a week, though.
She broke up with me, and it was so crushing because, in a sense, though, like as when you're a young person, you kind of obsess over your relationship, like that is romantic, like boyfriend girlfriend. And so I was so obsessive over it, and essentially when we started dating, like my expectations on her were so high that there was no way she could ever meet them. And so we ended up it not working. It wasn't able to work out, and breaking up. She broke up with me, and it was so sad, right in front of Starbucks on the curb.
Oh no.
And after one of my football games, my senior night, got broken up, and I was, she was really sad too. I was sad too, because we were also really good friends. And so that's one of the things like that is hard, that is complicated about young love, is that it does stick with you, and it does stick with me. It sticks with me today to think about it.
Yeah.
But I am thankful for that friendship that I had with her, and for that experience. But it does, when breakups happen, it does feel like, man, my heart was just played with.
Yeah.
I was just kind of used.
Yeah.
Like a cardigan. Just for comfort. Isn't that a lot of ways how boyfriend-girlfriend relationships can be, especially when there's not commitment of like eventual engagement and marriage, is you are just kind of comfort for each other. You're just this like security blanket, a cardigan in a sense, of warmth and comfort for each other. And then when one of you decides, I'm over this cardigan, take it off and find a new shirt to wear, a new cardigan, absolutely. A new sweatshirt, a new favorite hoodie. And then even in high school and middle school relationships, young relationships, you kind of go back through the cycle and go, actually, I'll put you back on. And, we all do. I mean, I feel like we do that with our friends even too. So
I think sometimes we use these like relationships. Like I remember in high school, the person I dated, it was for the fact, just for like, hey, I just want to forget about my problems and just date someone and pretend like that's my reality the whole time. Yeah. And then once you get to know the person more and you realize, hey, we each have our own faults, then you start being picky. Right. We both start being picky, and then like and then like it turns usually a breakup. And so we'll look at like a lot of high schoolers and middle schoolers just go through a lot of relationships, and you're
Yeah.
like, you graduate high school with 5, 10 relationships, some
Yeah.
which is crazy. So
Well, and I think, I think that's something we can affirm in this song is that, yeah, like this is true. Like relationships are often treated in our culture like cardigans.
yeah,
Let me try it on. Let me see how it works. Let me see how it looks. When you get old and I get tired of it, I'll put you under my bed. I'll leave you. One of her lines is leave like a father, run like water. You know, even Peter losing Wendy. It's like Peter is a lost boy who never grows up. Wendy grows up. He lost when, as you grow up, you decide to maybe even move on from certain relationships as you mature as well.
mm-hmm.
And that's just kind of the idea behind in our culture of young relationships and boyfriend and girlfriend relationships. It's sad. It's something, but it's true.
Yeah,
It's true. And I think she's right on, and we can affirm that. I even, when I was looking at this, I saw the line, "You drew stars around my scars, but now I'm bleeding." And I thought about Jesus for whatever reason. I don't know why that comes to my mind. And I thought about how Jesus sees our scars and sees them and circles them and draws stars around them in the sense of like, these scars are beautiful. They matter. So like, think about like the scars of your story, the scars of and pain of your life. When you're in a relationship, those come out with whoever you're in a relationship with. They're going to see those parts of you, good or bad. And then, what's beautiful about a relationship with Jesus is he doesn't take advantage of your wounds or scars. He validates them, sees them, blesses them, and tells you that they matter. And he shows you his scars, the holes in his hands, the holes in his feet, the spear wound in his side. That's what a relationship with Jesus looks like, is drawing stars around scars, and saying, your pain matters because I have pain too, and here's my pain, and I did this for you so that your scars could matter. Like Jesus is like, here are my holes in my hands, holes in my feet. I did this so that your scars matter, so that your scars don't disqualify you from love, don't disqualify you from being loved. And essentially, though, what the story goes on is you find out that actually, this relationship in the story of the song is broken up. And that, so like, for instance, when you're in a relationship with someone and you share your scars with them and then they break up with you, it kind of like you reopen those wounds again because they didn't love you for who you were. So when you're in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, and you get to a point where you guys know each other really well, and the boyfriend or girlfriend says, nah, I don't want to have this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. You feel so rejected and used, and your scars ache. And it says right after this, you drew stars around my scars, but now I'm bleeding. You're bleeding because and right after that, she talks about being left. You're bleeding. Those scars are reopened because they were seen and then they were not committed to and loved through. They were rejected. That's what happens in relationships all the time. That's something that's very true.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You look like you have thoughts to say.
No, that's awesome. I think that's that hits the mark because everyone knows a truth we can say is, hey, relationships are hard no matter who you're married to, who you're dating. Relationships are just hard.
Yes.
And so it does take I really think like I wouldn't be married to Alexis if it wasn't for the love of Jesus. We look at like that as the source to thrive the relationship instead of each other. Because if we just rely on each other, we're just going to hit conflict and just expectations. And here, like the beautiful thing about the chorus is, when I felt like an old cardigan under someone's bed, we feel unwanted. We feel like old rags, whatever you want to call it. And Jesus puts us on and says, hey, I love you. And I'm like, you are my favorite, not in the sense
Yeah.
of like above all like other Christians, but like, hey, I love you too. Um, I died for you, and when I died, I was, I did it happily, willingly.
Yeah.
And so, and he sings over us. He's like, he's actually like, he's seeing our pain. He's seeing, we feel unwanted, and someone's
Mm.
loving us, pursuing us, and
Yeah.
is singing over us with gladness because they're like, no matter what you do, no matter, I think she uses the line like drunk under the street light.
Mm.
I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna be there.
He sees you in that moment
Yeah,
and comes after you.
yeah,
Yeah, I love it. I love that vision of Jesus. And there is a vision of that in here in these lyrics. You can see it, especially if you print them out and read them. You go, "Oh, I see how Jesus can be in this." And then even the other side of things don't we treat Jesus, if you're a Christian, don't we kind of treat Jesus though also like a cardigan? We
Oh,
just
absolutely.
use him and abuse him for our ticket to heaven, and then whenever we get stuck in a tight situation or a choice of, making a decision to sin or to not sin or to obey or disobey, we're like, it's more fun to disobey. Everyone else is disobeying. Everyone else is sinning. Everyone else is going downstream with culture. And so we
Yeah.
just take Jesus off, cardigan, throw him under the bed and pretend like,
Yeah,
I'll come back to you when I need you to save me, when I
Yeah.
need you for my eternity. But right now that I'm a teenager, it's
I just
time
want
for
to have
me.
fun.
It's time for me to do what I want. And there's no such in relationships. It's in every relationship. And this is something to learn, with a boyfriend and girlfriend, even always comes with sacrifice. Always. You have to give up something in every relationship. So if you're going to have a relationship with Jesus and be a Christian, there is a sacrifice there. But just know that he has sacrificed way more than you have sacrificed. He has sacrificed his life to have a relationship with you. And so, just know that that's the love he has. That's the boyfriend, girlfriend he is. He's the one that lays down his life for you over and over again and sees you for who you are and loves you for who you are and sees your scars and loves you for those scars and says they matter and they're important to me and I'm chasing after you. And he actually has scars because of you. That's really awesome. That's a great relationship, but it's for whatever reason, that's the relationship that we like to throw under the bed and just put on when, we feel like it. But it's true, though. That's our favorite relationship. That's our best relationship. That's our most healthy relationship. That's the one relationship where we don't bring anything to the table and we're loved. We're loved, as sinners. He loved us while we were still sinners and laid down his life for us. Man, that is good news.
Yeah.
So even though we can treat him like a cardigan, he does love us. And I think if you're listening to the song and you're like, oh, I do treat Jesus like that, you should be grieved. Be sad that is how you treat Jesus and how you treat a relationship with God. And I think that's something to acknowledge it and maybe even say in a prayer after this, hey, Father, I am wrong. I've sinned against you. I've used you for my own benefits. And our relationship has revolved around me instead of around you in your glory. And so I think that's a great response to a song like this, is seeing maybe even how you treat God. So I don't know. What do you think, Jason?
No, absolutely. And I think it's like something we can all say we've done. We've all
Right.
treated God like Jesus like rags or old cardigans. They're just under our bed. We just forget about until we
Right.
need something. Oh, we need to wear this
Yeah.
cardigan now because it matches our outfit. We need it.
Yeah.
You mean like
Yeah. Well, I'm in church now. Huh?
yeah.
Where's the Jesus cardigan? Bring it over here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good point too. Like, are we someone different on Sunday mornings? Or is Jesus someone we're engaged with all week long? And so we're all sinners, like stumbling. We're all sinners. But we want to sacrifice. We want to pursue Jesus, and
yeah, because he's pursued us. He's chased after us.
yeah,
and
he's
loves
all
us.
in.
Yeah, it's
with
hard to
us.
resist that.
Yeah.
I can't resist it.
Mm-hmm.
When I read His Word and I see how He's chased after me, I can't resist it. What do we challenge? What are things that I'm like, this is. I think we've kind of touched on it, but we challenge the view of young relationships. Relationships are about commitment and faithfulness. Friendship-wise or boyfriend-girlfriend-wise, like you commit and be faithful to each other. You know, love each other well. I don't, if you're going to date someone and I'm just going to drop you maybe in a few months for someone else when someone else better comes along, then just don't date. Just be friends. And just until you're ready to really commit and be faithful. I mean, there's a piece of it too, like taking a, boy or girl on a date to homecoming or prom, like to do that, have fun and do that, or maybe to like just take them out to eat or things like that. But when it's about, as a teenager, when you're making it about, when you're coming into a relationship being like, I love you, and with that kind of level of commitment, but then you guys are just dropping each other, like I did in my relationships, dropping each other for the next best thing, you're just bleeding each other out, cutting your scars open over and over again. And it just makes you feel unlovable.
Yeah.
So like we push back against that.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you looking to the relationship as something you can gain, or is it something you can like give to that person? Like, hey, are we building a team, or I'm just like, I have 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah.
What I mean?
Yeah.
I've been watching the Last Dance, and I'm like, are you on the Chicago Bulls, or are you like looking to get traded? You know what I mean? Like, so
are you in it for the money, or are you in it to win championships?
Yeah.
So that's a good plug.
Yeah.
Last Dance on Netflix. Yeah, and I think we can challenge, some of the cultural things of getting drunk and, like obviously like, the cultural things of, sensual politics, and this kind of like selling yourself out. And I think the reason why people sell themselves out and do those things because they really do feel like used cardigans. They just feel like they don't matter. They feel like they're not worth anything. And it forces, like they have a line like, playing hide and seek. It forces you to hide and seek things for yourself and hide the bad things and your scars. And these are just things that we push back against and say like, no, like, you do matter. You are lovable. You're not a used cardigan. You are more important than that. You're a human being, someone who bears God's image, and we can say that to Taylor too. Taylor, you're not a used cardigan. You are a human being that bears God's image. Even in your own songwriting and songs, you are speaking about the truths of God and the love that you're longing for, which is God. A love that says, I know you'd come back to me, you'd come back to me, and you'd come back to me, and you'd come back to me. She's talking about actually a boy coming back to her, like as if, like what you'll realize, like, I am your favorite cardigan, so you'll throw me back on. But no. Jesus, this Jesus will come back to you, is coming after you. He is chasing after you.
Time and time again, it's repeated, like he will come back. He's not stopping.
And he's unrelenting.
Yeah.
You need to all you do in your salvation with Jesus is allow him into your life. Let down your guard, open up your heart and let him in because he's knocking on the door. He's coming back. It's just whether or not do you want him. And he's not going to treat you like a used cardigan. That is exciting for me. And that's a good reminder to me as that's a moment of worship for me.
Yeah.
I do know no matter what happens in my life, no matter if I make a complete mess of my life, whether I make terrible choices for the rest of my life, that because I'm a son of the Father in heaven, that Jesus is coming after me throughout this entire time here on earth. And he's everywhere in my story. He's all over it. God's fingerprints are all over me. So, because he's coming after me.
He's not leaving you.
No, he's not leaving me.
He's right there.
Even in my bad choices, even in my bad moments, he's not taking me off, and putting me under the bed. He's holding me and cherishing me and loving me.
Yeah.
And so that is a relationship I want to have, and that's a good reminder for me today.
Absolutely. Jesus wants us in our stories. He wants the unwanted. He looks at the unlovable and he loves them. So He sees the beauty in the old cardigan and enjoys them. He sings over us as sons and daughters, and I think Taylor has glimpses of the gospel in her song. So
Yeah.
listen to it.
Yeah. I
Check
love
it out.
Check it out and see the good news actually in it. Well, that's a good word, man. That's like a benediction, dude. That's like closing out like church. Well,
Everyone raise your hands.
let's just take a moment and let's just pray for Taylor. She's a real person, and we're just gonna pray for her and pray this over her. So, Jason, you want to lead us in prayer, and then
Yeah, absolutely. Father, thank you that you pursue us time and time again. Thank you that you chase after us. We thank you that you made us all in your image, and even Taylor Swift, who was writing about young love, and we pray for her. We pray that she can know you if she doesn't already. We pray that her art can actually bring glory to your name, that we can see her art in light of the gospel, and ultimately bring us all closer to you, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. All right, thanks for listening. We love you guys. Full sends, right?
Full sends.
Thank you for listening to the Culture Cast, where we engage culture with the gospel. If you have any questions, or maybe you have a favorite song that you would want us to talk about, or a movie or Netflix show that we can maybe bring into this podcast, we would love to. So you can reach out to us at srsm@sevenrivers.org. That's srsm@sevenrivers.org. Send us an email, and we'll engage with that content that you offer us, or any questions or concerns that you have. If you also want to find out more about our ministry, Seven Rivers Student Ministry, you can go to sevenrivers.org/students. We love you guys. You matter to us, and you're lovable through a relationship with Jesus.